people, real stories, real recovery.
Like, people's pronouns and how they dress are important in their identity. Like, don't be
Even in this route of recovery, get to real stories, real recovery.
I am Kat, and I'm on the road of recovery.
My name is Andrea. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. Today, I am a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a dog mom, and I feel like on those days I am a productive member of society.
Andrea, tell me a little bit about your childhood and youth.
Okay, so like I said, I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I am the youngest of two sisters, so there's three of us. I'm biracial. I was born into a family of addicts. So from an early age, I was taught what happens in this house stays in this house. My mom was, she had her own past traumas, things like that. She ended up being in a few abusive relationships before me with my two sisters' fathers, because we all have different dads. And she, when I was 9 months old, she met a man named Mark, and he was the best of a bad situation. So even though he had his own quirks, he treated her better than any man ever treated her, right? So we lived in the inner city, and Mark decided that he wanted to move us out into the country. He told my mom that if the girls stay down here, they're going to end up either pregnant, getting high, or in jail, right? Spoiler alert, we did all three in the country. Because the disease of addiction will follow you wherever you go. Mark was an orphan, so he was in a lot of group homes. I think he suffered a lot of trauma. He didn't like to talk about his past. He didn't have a family. We were his only family. Well, Mark was also a pedophile. So, even though he treated my mom better than he ever treated better than she'd ever been treated before, coin flip, he also liked young girls. So, my whole family, an extended family, was in the city. So even though he told my mom, let's move the girls out to the country because of these things, it was a way for him to isolate because he was an abuser, right? I had an IEP when I was a kid, so I went to a special school for that. Back then, they didn't know what autism was, so I wasn't diagnosed, but I had all the telltale signs of that. So I was an IEP for math and reading. My language didn't develop like other kids. I had fine motor skill issues. I couldn't ride bikes like normal kids. I just always felt different. Even when I don't even know how to put it into words. Basically, it was hard for me to live within my own skin some days. You know what I mean? Because the things that were tics for me, my mom just thought I was being defiant, So that was hard to navigate, and through recovery, I realized she was growing up with me. So some of the shit that the trauma that I experienced or that I would see as trauma was her trying to be the best parent out of a bad situation. So I started smoking weed, and I was a heavy weed smoker, and I could not stop. And I can remember being at parties with people and me peer pressuring them to smoke more because it wasn't enough. It just was never enough, right? So then that progressed into harder things, because I was always seeking that first drink. I was always seeking that. I always wanted that first, that rush that I got. As soon as I took that, I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was just an overwhelming sense of warmth that I never experienced before, and then calm right after. And after that, I just wanted it. And I wanted it all the time, and I didn't care how I had to get it, right? And as our drug culture changed in our community, so did the means for supply. So it went from weed to coke to pain pills, and it progressed, right? And in every one of those progressions, my disease progressed with it, right? My use progressed with it. I remember saying to them that it's going to be, I'm just partying and having a good time. And I'm not like these people, because I would see all these people like coming in dope sick to my house to buy these oxys and stuff, and I would see the disease of addiction, but I didn't know that's what it was, because like nobody knew, like we were all ignorant to this, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, I'm not like them. I just like partying and having a good time. Like I can stop when I want to, and the moment that I wake up and I no longer want it, but I need it, that's when I'm going to stop. Well, fast forward, I'm now in my 20s and I have my first child, and I wake up one day and I no longer want it, I now need it. And I was fucked. You know what I mean? And like, I just remember that moment where I'm like, damn, dude. And then like, immediately after, I was just like, okay, this is life now. So whatever I got to do to get it, this is what I'm going to do to get it. And that took me to some really dark places. I ended up losing that child. So I got into the criminal justice system around the age of 22. I ended up getting in trouble for like, it was just some petty shoplifting thing or whatever. It wasn't for my use, it was because of my use. When I was high, I was like a 10-foot tall black man, but I was also invisible. So you can't see me, and I'm just gonna go out here and like, I'm entitled, I'm gonna take what I want, and like, nobody sees me doing these things, you know, and I get caught. So I run, and I end up getting a warrant, and I end up going to jail. And I get put on probation, and this is the height, like it's the very beginning of my heroin use, and I switched over from pills to heroin because Oxycontins were becoming scarce, you know, and that's just what it was, and so that's what I did. And I had this little boy, this sweet little boy, who was 4 years old, and I'm now in the justice system, and I'm on probation. Now my son is in the system, and I use that as a way to perpetuate my use. So I just went balls to the wall then. I started selling myself. I met these girls in jail, and that's what they did. And at this point, my addiction had progressed into IV use, and I started using intravenously, and after that, that was the end of me. Like, I lost my soul. Like, that was it, you know? I would split hotels with other girls, and we would prostitute out of these hotels together, and split the bedroom and stuff, and I'd run around with this group of people that, like, I'd known since, like, grade school, and, like, some of them were a lot older than me that my parents used to sell to. It was a thing. Ended up catching another charge, and I never went back, so I had a warrant. And that was when Ethan got picked up and went to jail. I ended up catching another shoplifting charge for him because I didn't want him, whatever. Anyway, so he went to jail. I never went back. So on June 9th of 2019, I walked into a store, a large department store, and like I mentioned earlier, you know, I'm a 10-foot tall black man, but also a phantom. I'm invisible. Nobody knows what I'm doing out here. You know what I mean? So like, I'm walking through Walmart, picking up whatever I want. You know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna change my whole outfit in the bathroom. Well, it just got really dark. Like, I ended up overdosing a couple times, a week or two before this or whatever, and those were kind of jarring experiences in themselves or whatever. It was weird. But anyway, so like, I was kind of like at my wit's end. I had a broken wrist that I was self-healing from a violent rape that I experienced, and instead of going to the hospital, because after I was raped, the dude gave me a bunch of dope. It was just like, you know what I mean, like, thanks for being a good girl. Right. And just like gave me a bunch of dope, right? And so I just left the house and was just like, whatever, and just don't remember, and I overdosed a bunch because I was just trying to not think about that. Anyway, so I had this broken wrist that I went and stole a splint from Walmart so I could secure it, and I would take it off and I would still shoot up in it. Well, anyway, that day on the 9th, I went into Walmart, and I was just stealing stuff, like I said, doing my normal. I decided to leave my dope in car. I don't know why, but I never did that. And I literally, like, I made up a shot, and it was like, I had a new rig, so I was like, whatever. So I used this old one, and I went in the bathroom, and I got high, and I started stealing stuff, and I threw the syringe away, or whatever. Well, this was like a Walmart that I've gotten like 8 theft charges from, so it's not like they don't know me. At this point, you can't tell I have a tattoo on the side of my head. I had a half-shaved head and a huge tattoo, and I'm 112 fucking pounds soaking wet with track marks all over me and a freaking splint on my wrist, but like nobody knows that I'm in here taking the things. You know what I mean? Like, it's not obvious. And so I end up getting caught, right? I end up getting caught. I end up getting another theft. I end up getting a trespass, and I end up going to jail. I remember waking up in jail, dope sick, the next morning, and that was it for me. I think that was my jarring experience. Like, that's what got me into recovery, was that, like, I had a spiritual awakening in my jail cell. I was in 23-hour lockdown, I was on suicide watch, and I was going through it. The only thing they would give us in the jail was the Bible to read. That's all I could have. And, like, I was never a religious person. Like, my family, no, this was not a thing. But I got that Bible, and because that's all I could do. I was trying to get away from myself any way that I could, and I'm locked in here with myself for 23 hours. Just experienced all types of trauma for the last 2 fucking months, with or because of me and without my permission, both. And it was hard, but I got in that Bible and I started. For some reason, it flipped to this page of like Jesus' lineage, right? So all these people that were significant in my active addiction and in my life started with Jesse, and I read about Jesse, and I read about Esther, who was his childhood friend. I read about all these things, right? And that's where I felt like I got a spiritual awakening in that jail cell, and that kind of kicked off my recovery. I ended up going to the sober living house in Cincinnati, and it was very strenuous, and it was complete abstinence, so I wasn't allowed to be on MAT or anything like that.
Right.
So and MAT didn't work for me in the past. It worked for some people, but it did not work for me. So yeah, I did that, and I got into a 12-step fellowship, and I got right in the middle of it because that was a requirement of the sober living house that I stayed at. It was like, you make 5 meetings a week, you have nightly, what they call meditations, and that was with the group collectively in the house. It was very female empowering, very much like you don't need to worry about a partner. You just need to be completely enthralled in a recovery program, you know, and they were open. They just wanted you to be in something, right? So, like, that's what got me. So that's what worked for me. It was a 12-step fellowship, and it was that support and fellowship with these other women that I lived with that, like, held me accountable and were there for me, and, like, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. Still involved in my 12-step fellowship, but I do step work more than I attend meetings. I have this strong foundation of people that are in recovery that I get to work with and experience, and we get to, like, walk together, like, on our path, but, like, I don't really do the meetings as much as I used to when I first started. My recovery looks a lot like stability. It looks a lot like being a mother to my daughter, the way that my mom could have been to me had she been better. Both my kids are autistic, so that's challenging. Navigating that with also navigating my own diagnosis has been a thing, but because of my 12-step fellowship, I'm able to do that because I can put steps on it. You know what I mean? Like, the people don't get to do that. You know what I mean? Like, people don't get to experience having this, almost this nap on how to navigate tough shit. You know what I mean? And that's what a 12-step fellowship has done for me. That.
What hopes do you have for your future?
Well, I hope that when I leave this mortal coil, that I will leave in recovery. Like, that's really my hope. I just want to die in recovery. I do not want to die from a disease addiction. I don't want that to be my story. So, like, that's my hope. And I hope that as long as I'm here in this world, that I'm causing more good than harm. So I'm reversing the effects of what my disease did, to the world around me.
Andrea, thank you so much for coming out here today and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us. Your story is going to help to end stigma, humanize addiction, spread awareness, and inspire hope. One story. We're very grateful.
I'm happy that I was able to sit here with you and share my story. Sorry that I couldn't.
That's what we do. It's good.
Yeah.